A third of Pakistan is now underwater. An estimated 33 million people, or 15% of the total population, have been affected by what's called the most severe flooding in recent history. And more than 1,300 people, including over 400 children, have died since mid-June, according to the United Nations. The Manchar Lake, the biggest freshwater lake, is reported to be in dangerously high water levels. That is the biggest freshwater lake in the country. How dire is the situation? What caused the catastrophic floods, and how badly has Pakistan been hit? I'm pleased to be joined from Islamabad by Mushahid Hussain, Chairman of Pakistan Senate's Defense Committee, and from Beijing by Professor Shisheng, Director of the Institute of South and Southeast Asian Studies at China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. Let me go to Professor Hu first. As I said, right now Pakistan is said to resemble a small ocean, displacing hundreds of thousands of people. And some numbers here, for instance, according to the United Nations, 500,000 displaced people are living in relief camps. Nearly 1 million homes have been damaged. Over 700,000 livestock have been lost. And some 6.4 million people are in dire need of humanitarian aid. And 3 million children are estimated to be in need of assistance. The Pakistani government has declared a national emergency and is seeking urgent help from the international community. Professor Hu, how do you describe the extent of the damage from the reports that you have seen, and how are the local people coping with the situation?
I think this unprecedented flood is really causing dramatic damage to the daily lives of the people in Pakistan. We know that the famous river, Hindus River, running extremely from the northern part of Pakistan and rightly to the southern part of Pakistan, directed to the sea. So the whole area, it is 1/3 of the area uncovered by water. So you can imagine nearly 200 million people living in this piece of land, especially along the Hindus River. So this flood really causing a great damage. We know that the world's largest irrigated agricultural farming land is lying along this river. So while this flood was causing really not only the daily lives, but maybe furtherly was doing more damage to the agricultural activities in the coming season. The famines, the food shortage could also causing another round of humanitarian crisis in the future. And also the reconstruction. We know that nearly 5,000 kilometers of highways, hundreds bridges have been damaged. How to reconstruct, rebuild, also need times. And also we know the pandemic after the flood. We should also be careful about the post-flood disaster.
How do you look at the specific measures that the Pakistani government has taken to relieve and recover from the situation, whatever they can? And how do you gauge the progress of these efforts? Professor Hu.
Of course, now the Pakistan government at the central government level and the provincial level, even at the district level, they are making maneuvering efforts to doing more reliefs. But we know that because of the water has cut the living places, residential places in small islands. So how to make the islands connected, how to make the reliefs to be delivered right at the right time. So it's still humorous challenges. Although that, and also at the same time, the Pakistan government, because of the shortage of money, not only the money, because shortage of the daily necessities, so need more free and efficient transportation of these materials, necessary materials, especially the delivery capacity of the government at different levels is under strain. Yeah. So the international community, especially the neighboring countries, should rush to the spot to help them, giving them more helpful hands to help them. Let's do it together.
Right. Nations Secretary General Guterres has described the floods as monsoon on steroids. In the past few weeks, record monsoon rains dumped more than 5 times the 30-year average rainfall in some provinces. How much have the monsoon and downpours contributed to the extreme floods? Are there other factors, to our knowledge, that made the situation particularly severe this year?
There are some other reasons, like the intense heat waves hunting from April to May. So the meteorologist said that this kind of warmer air can hold much more moisture, so make the air much more wetter, humid, which will intensify the monsoon conditions. And also it is said that the long period heat wave had melted the glacier, the snow-crested mountains, make the glaciers to be melting more water, which was running into the tributaries of the rivers, and they make the river, like the Hindus have receiving much more big number of water comparing to the ordinary year. And also there is somebody said that because of the monsoon this year arrived a little earlier. And also somebody said that because of the mismanagement of the development along the rivers, like not a few number of people are living in the flooded zone. This may also contribute to the disasters and casualties. And also somebody said the La Nina phenomena had been haunted there for at least 2 years, also make some contributions. And also somebody said the intense air low pressure with haunting in the area of Arabian Sea also make some contributions. So it is that several aspects or factors contributed to this year's unprecedented flood.
Pakistan's weather department has warned that more rain is still on the horizon, and the situation is expected to worsen in the days and weeks ahead. So after 2 months of struggle, how difficult is it going to be for Pakistan to continue to cope? And concerning the Manchar Lake that's deemed dangerously full, how much more distress is that going to add to the disaster response and relief?
Because the rain hadn't been totally stopped. There are still rainfall expected, and while at the same time how to reducing the crisis, reducing or enhancing the delivery capacities. So at the same time, on the one hand, fight against the expected heavy rainfall still, and also at the same time how to make the delivery to be a more visible progress. And at the same time, the transportation facility has been totally damaged. So how to make all these ends to meet each other, really a big challenge. So I think that the international community, especially the neighboring countries, especially like China, which have much more experience in this area, have to rapidly provide more and more efficient help, especially the necessities, to be delivered to the right spot. Otherwise, this coming winter, the coming spring will witness even more disasters.
Well, China has been following the situation closely. First, to start with, State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi sent a message in mid-July to his Pakistani counterpart expressing shock and deep condolences. In August, China announced it would donate about 100 million yuan, which is about $14 million of emergency supplies. Then President Xi Jinping sent condolences to his Pakistani counterpart Arif Alvi, saying that China stands with Pakistan in the face of natural disasters and will continue to provide support for relief and recovery work. And days later, China pledged another 300 million yuan, or some $44 million of emergency supplies. I understand that some of the humanitarian assistance provided by China has arrived in Pakistan. Meanwhile, Chinese companies which have been operating in Pakistan have also provided humanitarian aid, and more is on the way. So, Professor Hu, what does these actions say about China-Pakistan friendship, and how can China's expertise, capacity, and experience in disaster relief potentially help with Pakistan's relief efforts?
the timely assistance and relief assistance provided to Pakistan furtherly demonstrated that Sino-Pakistan relations is really time-tested. Friend in need is indeed a friend indeed, and we can all remember that what Pakistan has provided timely help to us during Wenchuan earthquake, and also it shows that we are really iron brothers. Somebody even said bronze sisters, iron brothers. So in the coming days, I think the Chinese people, Chinese government stand side by side with the Pakistan people, Pakistan government. So that is not any question. And China's experience in the drainage, storage of this kind of water resources, I think we can provide much more help. But of course, that is maybe even more important in the post flood reconstruction period. But also, I think that we know that CPEC is there, so CPEC can be a very important, very valuable platform to provide this kind of help in the future reconstructions. And but at presently, of course, the crisis management, we have to provide more daily necessities to the people hit by the unprecedented flood. But in the future, how to improving the water resources reservation management, especially the river management. I think that China has done a great job in the past so many years. So we have this kind of experience. We can even co-running a certain kind of training process to see how to address this in a more efficient way. Right. And I think that expecting CPEC can play a much more role in this regard.
Yeah. Let me turn to Senator Hussain. Finally, we are able to have him on the line. Mr. Hussain, thank you very much for joining us. So tell us, how dire do you gauge the situation? And is Pakistan getting the much needed help as fast as it needs?
I think it's the worst kind of calamity caused by international climate change. We are facing the consequences of pollution done by Western countries in the past, although our contribution to emissions is less than 1%. And we feel we are not getting the international community's help that we deserve, apart from China and some important Muslim countries, because they are spending billions to fight the war in Ukraine. But for saving lives in Pakistan, 35 million people affected, 1.2 million pregnant women, 1 million homes destroyed, cattle destroyed, and 173 freak weather incidents. So the calamity is very serious, and the consequences of these floods will include poverty, hunger, disease, health issues, housing dislocation. So this is something, I used to read. It's a disaster of biblical proportions, horrendous, unseen. We could imagine in storybooks and fables, as you said, it's like an ocean today. So I think that humanitarian issues should be placed at the forefront, not geopolitics. And I hope that the international community helps out. We are grateful to China, the first country to help us with tents, with money, with other assistance, medicine, and so forth. Other countries from the Arab world and Muslim countries. But the Western response, I'm disappointed. If it was in Europe, it was Western people, the response would be very different. And I can see it from the Ukraine crisis. There are double standards, and they cause the crisis and the pollution, and we are facing the consequences, our people.
Unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Mushahid Hussain, Chairman of Pakistan Senate's Defense Committee. I wish the Pakistani people all the very best. And many thanks to Professor Shisheng, Director of the Institute of South and Southeast Asian Studies at China Institutes of Contemporary International Relations.